After many weeks of speculation and rumors, after the announcement of Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari in 2025, Carlos Sainz has finally decided and made his move. Williams is the team that will take Carlos Sainz. It's been talked about a lot in this season whether he would go to Audi, even Alpine was in the talk, even though we know that wasn't going to happen. And Williams became a big contender only within the last couple of months. We've seen the words and praise that James Vowles has had for Carlos, and now we have a great team combo of Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz. But what's the real reason? Why did he pick Williams, who's been struggling for a very long time, over an Audi project that seems very exciting and a team that's been very good in multiple other motorsports? For Carlos to be convinced to make this decision, it requires a lot. It requires you to have a team that knows its direction for the future and certainty behind it. The contract is definitely part of the situation as to why he went to Williams, but there's many other factors. Let's talk about it. Pat Fry, their technical director, is one of the most recent people to go to Williams and a big plus to the team. In this offseason, it was a troubling time for Williams. They had to restructure the way they did things. The old ways weren't working anymore, and clearly the team was very behind in technology and just the overall way of thinking at the team. Pat Fry and James Vowles come into this team and they make a big change. Now, for a technical director to stick around and really see the benefit of this is very important. Part of the reason he left Alpine was for the reason they didn't see themselves going above 4th, 5th, or 6th. They didn't have the aspirations to do so. He wants to at some point make a car that could challenge the top cars, especially in a legendary team like the Williams team. He's a highly experienced engineer, he's been in the sport for a long time, and when McLaren was at rock bottom in 2018, he was one of the people that came in 2019, gave the car to Sainz and Lando, and started that upward trajectory for McLaren. It was when he came in. He then moved on to Alpine in 2022 and gave them what was probably one of their best seasons in a very long period of time, finishing 4th in the Constructors under his leading. Now, we do know in 2023 that he left the team, and I said exactly why, because of the aspirations of the team, but he's already made gradual improvement here at the Williams, not just making it a car that's good in straight line speed, but overall a car that can compete on a track-to-track basis. This has allowed the Williams team to have a fresh start and now a big upward trajectory if they continue what they're doing. Looking towards the future is very important, especially when 2026 is right around the corner, and it's important to know which team could have the best engine because the engine plays a big part in Formula 1 throughout the years. If you look back at something like the old McLaren days where Senna and Prost were driving, that car was super strong because of the power, not really the aerodynamics. And if you look throughout the years, it's always been power. Power has been very important. The Mercedes years are also another great example of this. They had a strong aero kit as well, but the power was another big factor as to why Red Bull could never really catch the team as well. Now, with the pedigree Mercedes has, and with them obviously supplying engines to Williams, Carlos will look at that and say, okay, this is probably the more secure option, and Mercedes has made great powertrains ever since they've made their own. Audi is still new to the sport. In 2026, you can't just make a revolutionary engine. It's possible, but the likelihood of it is very unlikely when teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Honda have been making engines for so long. The better and the more secure pick is going with Mercedes, and with somebody like Alex Albon being very confident that the engine will be there for 2026, and plenty of drivers speaking upon Mercedes kind of having that edge, and the rumors being spoken out about Mercedes being the dominant team so far. We see the confidence within Toto Wolff and what he's saying for the powertrain, so it definitely plays an influence on a driver like Carlos Sainz, whose aspiration naturally should be to fight for championships, not fight towards the bottom, and Williams has plenty of reasons why. Going from the Audi side, we have to speak about why this is such a problem for Carlos Sainz with the unpredictability of a new team joining. There is always the off chance that Audi could come into the sport and pull off a Braun GP, but that is a very, very, very once in a blue moon type of thing, where Audi's going to handle most of this engineering work on the car, and the powertrains will be in Switzerland where the wind tunnel is. And while that is a great wind tunnel, this is a problem for the engineers and a big problem that will be associated around the team. Part of the reason why Sauber is struggling is that they're also trying to gather more people for this Audi team to bring them over there to work, but it's very out of the way for a lot of people. Most of the sport goes down in England, and that is the main hub for a lot of engineers, and people that work in Formula 1. It's more of a convenience, and already living there helps out. Ferrari is the exception of this, but a lot of the people over there are from Italy, and with the factory already being there in Italy, it works out. And plus, the team has been around for a long time. The name Ferrari itself is legendary, so that will draw in people. But Audi, while it is a big name in the car manufacturing industry, in Formula 1, it's still a small fry, and it's got to work its way up to actually be able to hire people. Ralf Schumacher has recently talked about this, and it is a very important thing to note as to why drivers might hesitate to go with Audi. It also doesn't help that since these regulations have started, and yes, 2022 wasn't bad in the beginning, 23 and now 24 have looked very bad on the team and the engineers. So bringing in people is now even harder because of the results and being a back marker. Teams know the workload it will require to even get towards the top and the amount of work that needs to be put in from the engineers and the personnel. The rumors and a lot of behind the scenes talk for Audi is that they're very behind on the current engine regulations, and that Andreas Seidel doesn't have much power, and the way that the power scheme works over there is something similar to Renault/Alpine. We know the issues that Renault and Alpine have been having, and that can cause a lot of future problems, especially when it comes to negotiations between engineers and team principals and the route they're willing to take to make it to the top. Carlos Sainz Sr. has been within the Audi team for a long time, winning the car at his age, and this definitely gives some positive signs to Carlos, but he also knows the ins and the outs. Helmut Marko has been the main person talking about these rumors, so I would take it with a grain of salt, but it is definitely something to be noted. Carlos Sainz isn't your youngest driver, and he probably wants to hop himself into a team that has potential within the next coming years to try and win a championship, not as a last-ditch effort, but to try and capitalize while he is still in his prime. I do think Carlos deserved to be in a better team than the choices that were given to him, but that's just kind of the unfortunate reality with such a sudden change from Ferrari. This does open up the market to drivers like Bottas, who might now end up staying within the coming days, because we already have heard Kevin say, we're waiting for Carlos on what the decision is going to be, because he was the best driver out of all those drivers, and teams were very much itching to get him. I do think Williams is the better team for the reasons that I named. The Pat Fry effect, the situation with the engineers not wanting to come to Switzerland where it would be away from home and a very inconvenient team to work for, and the uncertainty of the power unit. There's more reasons going against Audi than there are going with them. We'll have to see how this plays out, but I'm happy that we still have a great Spanish driver on the grid. Carlos Sainz is a driver that I've always respected, and I do think he deserves a spot in our beautiful sport. But what are your thoughts? What do you guys think of the move, and do you think he made the right move? Audi could have been a secured, get a lot of money, stick with the team, maybe in the future they do something, but he chose the Williams route, a team with big aspirations, and it seems like changes are being made that are correct. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.